This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening, folks. The time being 4:49. Welcome to the Selectmen Board of Selectmen, April 16th meeting. We'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a review of the minutes of April 2nd.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of April 2nd.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, we have, I'm just going to read these off and then we can make a motion at the end. A $50 donation from Errol and Barbara LaPlante to the Senior Center. Thank you very much. The town received an off-lease RICO MP 7503 SP copier from the U.S. Bankruptcy Court in Concord because it was excess equipment. It has a fair market value of $4,400 and 107,000 total prints on the machine. It can copy, print, and scan to the network and will be put into service at the police department. We have a $200 anonymous donation to be made in joyful recognition of Jane Alden and her credible contributions to our community and may be used in any manner that supports the Senior Center. Thank you very much. I'll make a motion to accept these donations.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Madam Chair, can I embarrass you by saying that you didn't read off your own donation?
Because it's not really a donation. It's going to be embarrassing, but the Senior Center had a raffle to support the Senior Center, and the raffle was $250 worth of scratch tickets, and I won and donated the winnings back to the Senior Center, which was $124.
Thank you.
That's very nice of you. Didn't.
I didn't want you to, I know you don't need the recognition, but I think it's important.
Okay, under the announcements, we have 2026 Amnesty Week. The 2026 Amnesty Week will be August 19th through August 22nd from 9 a.m. to 3:30 during the week and 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. on the 22nd. Hydrant flushing will begin on April 27th, 2026, beginning 8 a.m. and is expected to take approximately 5 days to complete. Private hydrants that are not normally open will also be among those that will be flushed, starting on the east end of Tilton, ending west, and then going into Northfield. Flushing may cause water to become turbid. Care should be used if you do laundry that day. I've done that before. Please remember to turn off your automatic ice makers and if your refrigerators have them, and call the Tilton and Northfield Aqueduct Company at 603-286-4213 if you have any questions. Elderly exemptions and veteran credit paperwork was due in the town office yesterday. Any new applications will not be accepted for the tax year 2026 at this time. To Tilton residents, if you still need to license your dog and update their rabies vaccinations, come to the rabies clinic at Northfield Town Hall on Saturday, April 18th. That's this Saturday, rain date April 25th. Your town clerk, tax collector, and deputy town clerk, tax collector will be in attendance to license the Tilton dogs. You will be entered into our raffle for many great dog prizes. Old Home Day is fast approaching. Applications for booths and parade participation on our website. This year's theme is America's 250th Freedom, Unity, and Community. That's it for announcement. Anybody else have any announcements while we're on announcements? That's it. Okay. Great. Next on our agenda is Lauren Martin, our avatar. Bestis.
Right.
Well, this is,
Thank you.
just came in the mail, so
Yeah.
Amy figured since I was coming that,
Right.
you would make sure
Thank you.
that you all
And Lauren, just so you know, our two new selectmen, we just briefly told them that when we talk about these, although they see a name, we refer to them by number because we're doing this in public. And if you just, they may have questions of you and that stuff. So, yeah. So, thank you.
Am I on? I just hit the button. I don't know.
Yes,
if
you're on.
Yeah,
I
with the
didn't know
red
if I
light.
already was.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Everyone's different. The one in my town is green down here, so. Well, it was, yeah, they wanted to schedule me to come in, so obviously I can meet you guys,
Great.
you'll see my name, probably,
Often.
probably more than you want to. Well, not that bad, actually. I mean, and given the update of values that we had and the huge increase in assessments, it could have been far worse. So it wasn't that bad. So I don't know, Amy left me everything as far as the abatements, and I assume she sent everybody the abatement packets on everything.
Yes.
And, okay,
Yeah, we have now.
all right. So I'm here if you have any specific questions on any of them. I think I recommended to deny most of them. And there's one in there that's an actual grant. And that's largely, and I don't know how much you guys have for experience yet with abatements. Statements and what we typically get a lot of times with an abatement is taxpayers saying, my taxes are too high, or you're crazy. My value's not that much. So statements like that without any factual basis are not enough to succeed on an abatement claim.
Right.
So whether they're providing comps that they feel are, other properties that have sold that would suggest that they're overassessed would be a good basis, or if their record indicates, say, they have 4 bathrooms, but they really only have 2. So physical data errors, those would all be good reasons for an abatement. But it does put the burden on them to provide some evidence of market value or disproportionate assessment through physical data. So most of the time, most of them are, my taxes are too high, or you're crazy. So, that's why most of them, and being a year now out from the update of values, most of the issues have kind of been worked out. That first year when values went up a lot, between the hearings, we go out and do inspections, and then we follow up in the abatement process as well. So most of them have worked out, and as the years go by till you get to the next one, those abatements kind of usually wane down. If the market keeps appreciating, at some point, the abatements might tick up on certain classes of property if they're not all trending the same way. The residential market in town has been pretty strong, and things have been trending pretty similarly. During the update, we saw a larger impact to the more affordable housing options, so they went up at a higher percentage than the higher end homes did. So that was a shift in tax burden. So that was a tough pill to swallow for a lot, because and that's a statewide, not just Tilton, that's really statewide.
Mhm.
So that was problematic. And we saw a lot more of those last year following that, because they might have had a very small first bill and then they get that whole burden in December. So it was difficult. Some tough times, tough talks. But so I'm here should you have any questions on any of the recommendations I made. And then Amy indicated you have all the dispositions there in the sign folder, Pat?
Yeah, it's
They're,
passed around.
okay,
They're
okay,
right
perfect.
there, so we can go down on them. Hi, Chief.
Do you want me to kind of summarize
Mhm.
one by one? Okay.
If you wouldn't mind.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see. So the first one, we'll call it taxpayer L.
Uh,
We have them
Oh, you have
They
assigned.
got them
in my-
numbered.
Map.
Oh, I got
Yeah.
you. I got you.
You
by
should
the
have a
number.
cheat
I do.
sheet.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay, so it's 2025-02.
Yep.
So this abatement did not have a lot of information in there. It did offer a value opinion of 389.2 as compared to the assessment of 512.1. They did attach a list indicating revaluation greater than 92%. I wasn't sure what they meant by that. They talked about an abutters assessment, but provided no information to quantify their statement. Exceeds equalized assessment, but again, failed to provide any evidence to support that. So I wasn't sure where they were going with that at all. Some of that talked about issues with the property drainage, things like that. And all of those issues were already known to us when we valued the property in 2024. So we had already accounted for those issues on the assessment, and which resulted in the assessment that's on the property. So lacking anything as far as evidence on how these issues that we already accounted for would further reduce the value. Lacking that, I had recommended to deny that abatement. I'm going to keep going unless you.
Is there like a percentage that you can put to each house? I mean, as a homeowner, if my taxes go up 14% and the next door neighbor's goes up 50%, you know what I mean? It
Happens.
just doesn't
Yeah.
seem like,
No, and that wouldn't be a basis for abatement unless we could show that those assessments were disproportionate for some reason. So if you were assessed, I'm going to pick round numbers, say your home was assessed at 500,000 and your neighbors was at 3, and they were very similar homes.
yeah, comparable.
So similar square footage, similar design, similar appeal, similar lot sizes, they should be assessed similar.
Okay.
So to have a $200,000 disparate assessment in that way, that could indicate that there's a problem. But
Okay.
to say that my taxes went up more than my neighbors, it's not, that alone would not be a basis for abatement. So comparing to assessments is okay to look for comparability, which one's right. At the end of the day, if you're assessed at 100% of market value and your assessment is representative of that, but your neighbors is low for some reason, the correct thing to do is find out why the neighbors is low and correct their assessment if it's wrong, not to bring you down to the neighbor, because now we have 2 properties that are out of whack. So we're trying to make sure everybody is assessed fairly and equitably, and those things are consistent. So if those homes are similar, first we have to look at why they're not being assessed similarly, and then determine what the market value should be. And
Okay.
if 300 is what it is, then yours would come down. But if 500 was fair, then we need to know why the neighbor isn't at 500.
Right. Gotcha.
So the next one we have is 2025-03. This was a converted camp structure assessed at 365.5. The focus of this one was largely on the land. So this is an improved lot with a home on it. They asserted that half of the lot was wet and therefore the land would be worth half of that. But the logic falls kind of short of the wetness on the lot was already taken into consideration, and the fact that half of the lot is wet doesn't mean that the value is worth half. Most of the value on an improved home site is going to lie with the fact that it supports that building and the improvements on that. So I've cited some court decisions in there as well, arguing about methodology or assessment level to provide some context to why that doesn't meet the burden there. And ultimately recommended to deny that one as well for those reasons. No yawning.
It's hot in here.
It is warm in here. It is very warm in here. No questions on that one?
Nope.
Okay. 2025-04. Let's see. Yep.
Madam Chairman, I'm going to recuse myself from any discussion on this piece of property.
Which one? The
Okay,
one.
got it.
2025-04.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
It's not your property, right? Okay.
Nope,
So I know properties, but I don't know anyone's name or where they live or anything.
Right.
So it never,
I get it.
I have to say that. So this one was a water access property improved with a ranch assessed at 256.2. Where it's asked for what their opinion of value is, they put 256.2. And then state the property's market value on April 1st was approximately 260. This one, this one was actually purchased in May of 2024 for 260. The home was ultimately determined to be not salvageable, and they have demolished, well, I don't know that it's down now, but it was permitted to come down and they were going to rebuild
It's
there.
down.
It is down now. So it would have been visited by
it-
Dan during the new construction process.
Fully framed.
Yeah. So we had talked during the hearings on this property. I just think that they did not understand, because what they bought was for 260 was the home in the condition it was in.
Right.
And it was assessed at 256 in and around the same time they purchased it. I talked to them and tried to explain that during the hearings. That's what the market value was on April 1st of 24 when we did the townwide reassessment. But it'll be updated for 2026 for what existed there. We would be taking off that demolished home. And if there's anything new there being built, we would pick it up and determine what state of completion it was on April 1st.
It's fully framed.
It is,
and-
yeah.
And blocked in.
Perfect.
No windows, but it's has the plywood up.
Yeah, and I haven't checked since I wrote these because Dan's field work had not been entered yet,
Mhm.
but that should all be entered in there, and we'll take into consideration the state it was on April 1st. So I think this one was more confusing about just timeline of when things are assessed.
Right.
So that's why I recommended to deny that and stated that we would be revisiting and updating for tax year 2026.
Right.
That was 06, correct? The number 6
That was number 4.
or 4, okay.
Thank you, John.
Number 2025.
Let the record show John's rejoining us.
Okay.
Okay.
Welcome back. The next one is 2025-05. This one is a commercial property, and we have a pending appeal on this one. We have already commissioned a review appraisal, and so we have not received that information back from so they had the property appraised for 4/1/24, and their appraiser asserted opinion of 9.2 million. So we've hired an appraiser. We got approval at one of these meetings. I don't remember exactly when. So I'm recommending to deny this for now until we hear back from our appraiser on it. So he's going to do a review appraisal. So he takes the appraisal from the other side, does a complete review, points out any issues with that appraisal. If they misassert, they made some assertions in their appraisal that were not correct, he would point those out, and then he would offer his own, do his own analysis and provide an opinion for us, so that if this case proceeds forward to court, I think is this one court or BTLA, whichever, then we would have our opinion. So once we get that back, we'll be able to mediate with the tax representative on the other side with both opinions, and we'll let the appraisers fight it out at that point.
It's good to wait on this one
Because we don't know.
there are major renovations in the last 2 years. And
Every
it
year.
still continues.
And I think what I find a lot across the state with properties like this, commercial properties that are valued at a higher range, just before they're ready to invest some money into the property, and they know that that's going to cause their assessment to go up, they tend to fight their assessment to try to get it reduced so that it'll go right back to where it was after the renovations. That's what I find. They
Well, that
try to.
makes sense. But there are major renovations going on right now, and they're coming in on Tuesday night for another major renovations
Oh,
to
yeah.
the zoning.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to note that if we do have to hire the consultant for the value, the last time I think it was about $7,500. So it's an effort that we do not budget for.
Right.
And we have,
I think this one would be worth it.
I think we have, so we had 2 appeals coming out of that. Well, we had 3 appeals total, I think. One we're going to talk about tonight, which I think is resolved, as long as you agree with that. And then we had these 2 with the same rep. So we had this property and another property. So the appraiser is going to take care, he's going to look at both of those. And
They're
do
the same ownership?
same tax rep, different ownership.
Okay.
So we'll skip 6 for a second because that's
Okay.
the other document I gave you.
All right.
So the next one, which is 2025-07, this is the second property that the tax rep is representing and had an appraisal on. And it ultimately could be the same tenant. I don't think so. I think he's just representing them both, but it's interesting because he's representing the same properties like in Keene, a couple other communities. So they have a firm out of Boston that had appraised it. So we had retained, again, the appraiser, and he's doing that review appraisal for those 2 properties for us to prepare for this. So my recommendation on those is to deny it until we have that information.
Okay.
I wrote these a while ago, so I forgot they were in there. And I talked to him about this property too. So the next one is 2025-08.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit harder to talk about this one without saying
Yep.
who it is. At the end of the day, the property, multiple buildings, and the 2.71 acres assessed at 1.845. They asserted a value opinion of 780, and they attached an appraisal from March of 24. We had a previous appeal with this property, and they settled for very small money. I can't remember the exact money, and it wasn't any kind of agreement. They were going to withdraw the appeal, which was scheduled at the time for, I believe that was Superior Court. So the legal fees, and I don't remember, maybe Scott remembers it. It was a relatively small number, like give us $5,000 and we'll just withdraw. And at the end of the day, that was a business decision of the board that, if we proceed to Superior Court with our legal fees, we're going to spend more than that.
Yep.
So I was surprised to see this abatement come back in here this soon. But here we are. So we were prepared to value that before. So I've just kind of talked with the appraiser who has been already commissioned to do those other appraisals for us, that if this one proceeds forward, we'll want to keep them, because this is a special purpose property. It's not your average.
Right.
Right.
There's a mix going on here. But there was some significant issues with the appraisal that was provided. And largely when you're comparing this type of property with the different mix of buildings on that, you want to find comparable sales that are similar. And the difficulty between the ownership of this type of property, it doesn't sell on the open market similarly as the house next door would sell for.
Exactly.
So the sales are always a little bit suspect in all of them because they're from people who don't pay taxes typically. So it's a different type of mix. So that appraisal had valued part of the property based on a sales comparison approach to value, and then used a cost approach on different components on some of the buildings, which is not really a sound valuation methodology. So I think that's arrived. I mean, if you look at for what that property has to offer, the fact that they're asserting an opinion of 780,000. I mean, all anyone has to do is look around town, find a lot of that size, and just take the house, and you'd see that homes of that size with that much land are selling for that alone, and forget the other buildings that are there. So it's not the best to pick, it's not a very credible opinion of value, which is why we denied it before, and they ended up ultimately withdrawing and settling with us. So we'll see where this one goes, but I'll keep you posted on that. So that's why I recommended this one be denied. All right, this one is 2025-09. This is the one I recommended to grant. This one is waterfront property, assessed at 714.5. They had asserted a market value opinion of 550 and did attach a portion of an appraisal, or they did attach the whole appraisal. I apologize for that. That was commissioned for an estate on the property. Some issues with the appraisal that I point out in the recommendation here. But that said, this is a property that is largely seasonal that we had not been in before. So in the appraisal, it's giving me all the breakdown of the interior of the property, photographs of every room of the property. So there was some significant issues noted with the property that had not been addressed because we had never been in it. So recommending to add depreciation to account for those issues, which would reduce the assessment to 667.6, and we would need to do an abatement on the reduction of 46,900. And that's times the tax rate plus interest. All right, the next one is 2025-10.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
I'll be recusing myself from the next two.
Okay. Thank you.
Because you own so much property.
Land baron.
I know, right?
I mean, next
Wait a
one.
minute. Joe.
All right, so this one is, well, it'd be more familiar to Pat and you, Eric. But we had 2 pending appeals on water in this direct area, which has now brought these out as a result, I think, of some of that we had settled with one of them. So this property is a 0.54 acre shared waterfront property assessed at 833.8. Taxpayer provides a value opinion of 750. And he states the equalized assessment of 774 exceeds the fair market value. States the opinion of values based on a 12.5 time disparity in features. I mean, what was provided for information appeared to be an AI written addendum that was not very, I'm not sure what they're using for, I mean, AI is a great tool, but you've got to be careful with what you plug in there. Sometimes you're not getting the most accurate information out there. This one, because we had already been before this, I had been before the board with these other waterfront properties. So I already have a collection of sales in preparation for hearings that we have coming up on those 2 waterfront properties.
Yeah.
So when I look at those sales as compared to this property, which has similar shared waterfront, the sales support the assessment all day long on this property. So
100 feet of shared waterfront. Just read that.
yes. Yeah, there's a beach. There's a home right at the water. And then I believe it's 3 homes behind that one. So one of those, I think one of the ones in the middle was one we had an appeal with that ultimately, which we're still going, I believe, to BTLA on, but that we did reduce,
Yeah.
the board did. And then we had the other property down at the water adjacent where they share access. So we'd gone through the exercise. I did the research, pulled out all the sales of, I had to go across the lake into Belmont or around the corner into Meredith to find other sales of waterfront property that have shared access. This one is nice because the access is 100 feet with a beautiful beach there. They have a shared dock. So there's some nicer features there than some of these other ones where they're sharing it with 12. One's a 42. A couple of them are shared with 42 property owners. The first 2, one shares with 8 owners and one shares with 12. So this beach is limited for only a few people to access that. So I find this our side with the limited to have a better waterfront appeal than some of these other sales. But when you adjust for all the differences, the type of homes, these sales support the assessment as arrived at on both of these properties. This one, which is number 10, and then number 11, which directly follows it. The second one is just looking for the same reduction that was provided to the owner that was before this board before, when we had the appeal discussions. The board at that time had voted to reduce that one 75,000. So they have a shared amenity for that water access because it's not owned in fee simple. So the first home that sits back, only one house, has a higher value than the one that's back, forth from the
Sure.
beach. So the one that came in that had a reduction is the one in the middle. And the values on both sides straddle it. So there's really not a lot of room there because the one that's farther back is less valuable than the one that's only one house back. So there really wasn't anything, but because that one was afforded a reduction, that's what that number 11 is looking for. I just couldn't justify it based on the sales. And then, do you want to come back, John?
Yep. Let the record show 520, John is back.
So this one is number 12, and this one is a commercial property assessed at $2,451,300. This one is through a tax representative as well. Multiple conversations back and forth with this tax rep. He was comparing it to neighboring properties, some sales, some just assessments, and asserting that the value is too high. The difficulty is that this building is fit up differently than, say, the restaurant that's next door.
Mhm.
And so that was, that's what he was using as a basis of comparison. It's difficult for this type of property because it's fit up for that use. So if it's to sell, that's a use that's transmissible, and that is going to, man, this is tough when you can't say the name of the property.
Yeah.
I'm just trying. So I'm trying to stay within that. So I think once we went through, he was looking at Marshall and Swift cost estimators and thought that this was higher than what he could support for that. But again, he wasn't really looking at the entire use of that. We did have a sale of property. So I provided that to him, and the square foot cost. He's like, I can't come up with that at Marshall and Swift, because on a special purpose type property, he's coming up with a per square foot basis to come up with that, and said he couldn't support it. So we had that sale that supported it, supported
Yeah.
something higher. That was new construction.
Right.
So I just couldn't find any support for this whatsoever. What we had arrived at was reasonable. The land and amenities are all assessed similar to all of those lots in the area, but the buildings are going to be very different. There's a market appeal difference for a restaurant versus an office versus, a warehouse. They're all going to be different. And to just say it's commercial and they should be the same, the land should be similar because it's going to carry a similar value based on that. But the buildings, depending on the market, are going to have a very different market appeal for that. So that's why I recommend that one to be denied, because the sales right here in town, and he provided some sales, none of which was in town, and we had good data right here. So he did not look at that. I did provide that to him, and I think once we went back and forth conversation wise, I think he had a better understanding of where we were and how I supported that. So I don't know that we'll hear from him, but maybe. And then the last one I had here before we talk about the multi-year one is number 13. This also was a commercial property on 2.4 acres, assessed at $9,421,000. They asserted a value opinion of 8.68, and he did a reconstructed income statement. It didn't make a lot of sense because he was increasing expenses above the historical expenses, the actual expenses at the property. So when we look at an income approach, we're not valuing widgets, what people are selling, but we're trying to value the real estate. So if you rent your real estate, we can quantify that and capitalize it to indicate what the market value should be. So the big issue with that was he was using expenses that were higher than what the property actually realizes. So market expenses should have been lower, which then lowered his net operating income. And then you capitalize that and led him to a value opinion that was slightly below where we were assessed. But when we went through and I used the actual information and I capitalize it, it actually indicates a value slightly higher than what we have on it right now. And that's after applying the ratio. So we're at the assessment's 9,421. When you capitalize that, we have an indicated market value of that property of 10,330. And after I capitalize his actual income, it indicates it could support 12,700. And there's a little bit of room on the income approach because there's some, we're all looking at what we feel are market rates for income and expenses and capitalization. So there is always going to be a little wiggle room in that. That is not definitely an exact science. You're anticipating what it could project for income and expenses based on market data. We don't have a lot of real good published data for Tilton. So when you look to these type of properties and they're in Laconia or Manchester, it's not always representative of Tilton. So the assessment on the property is well supported based on the income and expenses that are realized there. So that's why I recommended we deny that one. All right, so that brings me back to 2025-06. So this had a 2025 abatement, which when I wrote you this letter, I told you I would recommend to deny it. And then subsequent to that, we had talks because this is a pending appeal for 2024. So for 2024, they had appealed the property. The assessment on the property is $4,987,200. And they were asserting a value opinion of $3,300,000. So because this is an income producing property, I reached out to the tax representative, requested a complete rent roll, a breakdown of all income and expenses. And once I received all that information, was able to reconstruct the income statement on the property. The rents they're charging there, based on all the data I have across the state, appear to be low. So I think those rents are below market. The tax rep told me this was a dog of a property, which I have a hard time believing. I've got this type of property across the state. This is like the Taj Mahal of this type of property.
Yes.
So, he is hired to represent their
Yeah.
best interests. So I understand that statement. But the rents are at rates that are, when I look, I've got properties in inferior locations with the same type of utilities and they're charging significantly higher. So it's great that they're keeping the rents lower there for their tenants, which is great. But if they were to sell that property on the open market and somebody came in there as an investor, the first thing they're going to do is raise those rents to market level. So I reconstructed it but I had undervalued in my own income approach their expenses. And that was because I was unaware that they were providing utilities to everyone in the park.
Not anymore.
Right. And I did say that to them. So I'm here tonight so they, after much negotiation back and forth, he had come in and offered to settle at a value of 4.2 million. So he came up almost, $1 million from where he was. I still was thinking it was a little bit on the low side, but once I accounted for the expenses that should be higher for the utilities they do provide there, I felt confident bringing forward a offer to settle at 4.3 million to you. So while I recommended here to deny because we hadn't got this part, in the meantime, we got this part. So this would be a recommendation here to settle it, and I was seeking your authority to sign that with them. They have already indicated that they would accept the offer at 4.3 and withdraw the appeal for that. This would also lock in. This would lock in. So the settlement would reduce the assessment to 4.3 for 24 and 25.
Okay.
We would have to revisit it for 26 because of the change in the utility.
Yep.
But if we don't do anything and we left it at the 4.3 till the next townwide reassessment, there would be no other abatement or appeal on it. If we go back to the table for 26 because of the change in the structure for the utility, we may end up arguing again. But
You are still able to go back on the 2026.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I got to find out when that change
If we
took effect and if it's affected, because it may not affect it for 26, because I'm not sure when they started or if they've started the change yet with regard to the utility. So if that was in effect, those increases for 4.1, we may want to revisit 26. But if it was after that, then we would hold off and want to revisit it in 27. But it doesn't lock the town in. This locks them into this number if we didn't do anything.
For the 2 years.
4.1, you mean? Before 4.1?
Yeah, when they changed their rate structure for that. I only know that because you told me.
Well, everything is installed and they're effective. They're charging, I believe, everything, all the extra utilities
Is passed off now?
to measure. It's all done and it has been done for months.
Okay. And that's what I had said to the tax rep,
Correct.
that we would, I would bring this forward to you for 24, 25, but I couldn't make any promises for 26 based on the fact that they are changing that structure. So I'm using a higher expense ratio to arrive at this lower value. But now if you've taken that higher expense and you're passing it off to the tenants,
Right, because
Then-
that's not the only
changes the whole
utility.
structure.
Lauren, that's not the only utility that's going to come on board to the
tenants.
To the tenants.
Right.
Correct.
So
it's
it
good to
makes
wait.
sense
Yeah.
for these years
Mhm.
because that was the structure in place and they did have those higher expenses, but
Right.
they're looking to change that to reduce their expenses,
Yeah.
which makes that more valuable to the landowner.
Yep.
So I was here seeking your authority. I laid out exactly what that would look like for abatement for 24 and 25.
Make a motion that we give Lauren Martin the authority to sign off on the abatement process with number 2025-06.
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion.
Is that from the, is that the proposal you have in front of you? For the
Yeah.
4.3?
Yes.
Can I?
The settlement
Yeah.
document. This is a copy of it. I have. I told her not to give it to you. Although, is it attached to
Yeah.
the?
It's attached to your letter.
No,
No, it's not.
Oh, yeah, it is.
it is.
Is it?
I just said, don't sign that. I told Amy, you can give it, don't sign it because I have a copy back that they will get it.
Can you just show that to her because it might be what was originally and then that
Oh.
came in after?
Oh, you mean the disposition?
No, it says down
No,
to
that's the
4.3.
settlement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this document here, and you probably had the disposition originally
Yes.
with this that said denied, but
Right.
this has been sitting here for a month. So,
it's- Like you said, it's almost up $1 million.
yeah, yep. Right, because if we had, if we had proceeded to court, they were going to go in and argue that the value should be 3.3.
So, and every time we go to court, Avatar pays the lawyers or we pay the lawyers?
If it goes to court, you would have to pay your attorney to go there. I would be your expert if we go to court.
Right.
If it goes to BTLA, which is where this is going, then I would be representing you there. And depending on which year we go for, some of the years are from the update contract that you pay per diem, and then some of the years that if they're appealed, it's part of your contract that you're already paying for my service. So it
Okay.
just depends on when it goes.
Okay.
Yeah, anything at BTLA, I go and I represent you there.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And
Yeah,
that's
Laura,
a
would you
mighty
just-
fine job.
Would you just explain what BTLA is? Does everybody know BTLA? I know our other, yeah.
Right, one side of the table probably knows.
Yeah.
So when a taxpayer files an appeal on an abatement, whether it's granted or denied, they still have the right to appeal. And they can file that appeal to either the Board of Tax and Land Appeals, which is the board in Concord. It's probably more user-friendly than going to Superior Court. So most taxpayers for $65 can file an appeal application to the Board of Tax and Land Appeals. They have 3 members that sit on these, and they largely handle property tax appeals, eminent domain cases across the state. They're just a lot more user-friendly to the average taxpayer. You don't have to walk in there with an attorney.
Right.
You can go in and not know anything, and they're going to hold your hand and walk you through the whole process. So it's much more user-friendly to average taxpayer. So you have the choice to go to BTLA or Superior Court, but not both. So you make a choice as a taxpayer which venue you want to be heard at. The Superior Court case, I'm not sure what the filing fee is because it varies by county depending on where you're filing, but it's more than filing at BTLA. And while you could go pro se at Superior Court, it's not advised, and the judges don't usually like you walking in there because you need to know what you have to file by when, and you have to follow their strict legal scheme. I went to pro se once on a Superior Court case, and the judge yelled at me and said, "You better know what the law is before you come before me." And I was like, I think I have a good understanding. Could you make sure the other attorney knows that I filed interrogatories and he was supposed to have them to me 30 days ago? And he ended up yelling at the attorney, but they do expect a certain level at the Superior Court. So if you're going there, it ends up being town usually goes in with attorney and the taxpayer has an attorney too. So the cost is much higher. And then the court will also order you to mediate with a judge, and you end up paying that expense as well. So it's a much more costly endeavor for all parties involved. So most appeals that we have or we've had have gone to BTLA, and I represent you and take care of those for you.
Everybody?
Aye.
All set? Okay. All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
So this one I will sign off on with the taxpayer representative, and I will draft the disposition and get that back to you so
Mhm.
that it
So
can
we
be
can sign it.
processed. Yep.
Right.
That's it for me.
Sounds like a plan.
Great. Thank you.
Anybody else have any
Thank you.
questions for
Absolutely.
Lauren? We appreciate your time, Lauren.
I know. Anytime.
Yeah. Well, I know it's valuable. I
No,
know.
anytime. It was good. It was good. And it wasn't a terrible one, but it is very warm up here. So
Yeah,
It
we'll have the
is.
AC running next time.
Yeah, you bet.
So it's always warm up here.
It is very warm. Even I'm
Pat
saying
is
it.
saying it's warm.
It's warm.
Let me shut that up.
Trust me, it's warm.
Madam Chair, can I raise a housekeeping issue?
Mhm.
Just so everybody knows, that packet is protected information. So I'll take it back when you guys are done, and we'll destroy all of it so it doesn't get in the wrong hands.
Okay. Stack it up.
Now you're making it too heavy to lift.
Okay, one more announcement. The town clerk tax collector dropped off this notice. The lien levy year for 2025, impending lien notices are 4/30/26. The lien execution is June 10th, 2026 at noontime. The mortgagee notice deadline is August 10th, 2026. The deed levy year for 2023, the cutoff time for payment on a deed execution date is 3 p.m. August 20th, 2026, 3 p.m. Deed notice, July 9th. Deed list to Newfound Title Services is June 9th. There you go. Thank you, Kim. Okay, next on our list is Town Administrator Report.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I did send the board copies of my report, which I won't go over because there's no sense in wasting the time. But I did want to highlight a couple of things that were in it before I lead into the rest of the information I have. If you ever have any questions on it, if you just write them down and then we can discuss them here. Just I highlighted the project updates, and Tim did send out information in his report on the bridge stuff. So we're moving along at better than a snail's pace in the projects. But tonight I was going to ask you also, I sent to you in your booklets behind my report is the Lakes Region Planning Commission. It's the Winnie Trail Multi-Use Path Project. So the new members are aware, we have been trying to expand the Winnie River Trail project from its current end location, which is Route 140 in Northfield at McDonald's. We've had a couple of grants, two that we've chimed in on with the Winnie River Trail people, and the board's been very supportive of us to do that, both of which have been denied. So Ken Norton, who is the president of the Winnie River Trail Advisory Board, and I met with Lakes Region Planning Commission to discuss any further things that we might be able to do, any monies that might be available. Obviously, it's going to be a relatively large expense to do that. Ultimately, the goal is to connect with Belmont and keep the trail going to the Wild Trail in Laconia, and ultimately it would be beautiful. So the Lakes Region Planning Commission, one of our planners is Glenn. Glenn met with Ken Norton and I, and we discussed an option that will be coming available. And it is this letter that I submitted to you behind my report explains exactly what we can do, but it might be a little bit foggy for you because initially we had proposed expansion along the railroad tracks, which for a lot of reasons is kind of difficult because the terrain basically itself. But this, I was excited to hear from Lakes Region Planning on this potential project, which will be funded through the state with federal government monies, and it will be an application process. It is an 80-20 grant, which means the Fed would come and the state would cover 80%, and we would have to come up with 20%. The Winnie River Trail Advisory Board does have some monies that they've collected through donations and other fundraisers and stuff over the years. But unfortunately, we're going to figure out what that price is.
Okay.
So yeah, and so this is going to be a two-part process. Instead of using the existing rail to continue the trail, follow along with me. This grant highlights a number of issues that promote public safety and sidewalks and the availability of exercise programs, accessing different businesses along this particular area from 140 to the park and ride just next to the Taco Bell. The good thing about this, and the reason I was excited and come to you tonight to ask you to allow us to continue to move forward, and then I'll explain what that procedure is because this would constitute potentially the ability to design sidewalks along that section of Route 3 so that people could access the businesses and actually walk to them. And they could walk from, currently the sidewalk ends at the little bridge that goes over just before Applebee's. So this would continue the sidewalk up on the southern side. We're discussing two options, but the option that's most available to us is the southern side of Route 3, which would go up in front of BJ's and up in front of across from the Tanger Outlet Mall and that stuff. Obviously, we would have to bring the state in because we would want people to access the outlet mall, which would mean putting in a crosswalk with a lit sign for the outlet mall and the rest of the businesses there. 2 points that I thought the board might be interested in. One is the absolute safety factor. Those people walk there anyway, not a lot. This may constitute getting more pedestrian traffic, but it would also be an economic shot in the arm to those businesses. So any 20% funding that we might need, we would be knocking on their door
Just
saying,
gonna ask that. I would be like, hey,
well, and you might be one of them, John, but no, we already got you. But so I was kind of excited because I thought we were at a dead end with this Woody Trail expansion. I think this is a very viable option. I think it would be well seen from the state's perspective and from an environmental perspective. Obviously, the more people that are walking, the less vehicles that are running, and it's got some highlights there. So the next phase of this in the letter, it explains to you, is Lakes Region Planning has a engineer on staff that they already pay for that they could get to design a concept of what we're talking about at no expense to the taxpayers of the town of Tilton. So if we were able to do that with the board's permission, if we were able to do that, we would then come to the next juncture, which would be us reporting back to this board with a conceptual plan and a cost factor, which would break out 80% for the government and what 20% would mean for the town of Tilton. In that would be any potential other grant monies that we might be able to get, any donations from businesses, and we would also entertain a kind of like a gasset hearing, if you will, which is done when the state does an expansion of Route 3 or a major artery, where we would bring in the business community and say, hey, listen, this is what we're going to propose. Will you guys buy into this? The Board of Selectmen want to do it. It's in the best interest of the town of Tilton. It's surely in your best interest as a business. Would you be willing to do that? Would you be willing to, if the amount was $400,000, would you be willing to partake in raising some of that money? Winnipesaukee Advisory Board, Ken believes that the board themselves would buy in with the 20% and their available funds, which aren't significant. I don't know exactly what they are. But long and short of it is, before we can go to the next stage, which is the free, I'll say it this way, free engineering stage for us, these numbers may come back, exponentially high. We don't anticipate that because Lakes Region Planning has done their homework. They've done the traffic studies and that stuff, which a fair share of that information doesn't need to be re-garnered. It's already garnered. And they've done it in other communities, very similar projects that they can use in comparisons. So my ask of the board is to allow me to tell Lakes Region Planning that the board is wants to participate in this program with the Winnie Advisory Board and to proceed into the engineering state, get some ideas, and then before we write a grant, obviously we've got to have agreement on what that looks like for the taxpayers.
So really, you're just looking for a letter of intent.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. But it would have to be in the form of a motion and adopted by the board as a majority vote to proceed to the next step. But my key points to you is that to proceed to the next step, it doesn't cost us anything.
Right.
They've already got the engineer, it's in place, and we're part of the Lakes Region Planning Commission. This is another reason we pay dues. This is another reason that, our dues money pays to benefit our taxpayers.
Madam Chair,
Mhm.
I'd like to make a motion to grant permission to the town administrator to explore the engineering ideas free of cost to the town for the expansion of the Winnie River Trail.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion?
I would just like to
Yep.
yeah, discussion. So there are sections once you cross 140 that have, especially right there at the park and ride behind
Right.
Taco Bell, that besides general cleanup,
Yeah.
have elements there that might be dangerous to the public.
Right.
So that's part of the assessment, cleaning that up,
Right.
keeping it enforced,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. That would be wonderful. And then, it occurred to me that the Salmon Falls area starts with a small,
Yeah.
open, broad area.
Yep.
Is there possibility for ending that section maybe with a broader area than
Yeah.
simply just a walk
Potentially.
and sidewalks to the businesses, but also on the other side and
yeah.
opening that up a little bit for the
Yeah.
potential for possible future events.
Right. Right.
That
Yep.
was just my opinion.
Yep.
But I think if it's free, it's for me, right?
Right.
Let's explore it. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to
Exactly.
find out an answer.
Right.
Give us
Right.
something to say no to.
And your point's well taken, Jeff, because the one area we quickly identified in our discussion was specifically the park and ride and the dip in that brook that comes across there. That's a major artery. And there've been some issues there in the past, including it wasn't a Brownsfield, but it was a cleanup that I believe the state did. And we would want to make sure that that's acceptable to our engineering folks. So,
Excellent. Also, I just would like here to mention, if we have a well-developed plan and if the board decides to move forward with future phases of it, I think it's something that the residents of the town might be willing to pitch in on if they intend to
Yeah.
use it.
Yeah.
So if there's maybe the potential for that as well,
yeah, the Winnie River Trail.
even small.
Yep.
bits.
When we began that, 20 years ago, there were tons of people that participated in that. It's great. So, thank you.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Madam Chair, I don't know if you, the next behind the Lakes Region Planning is a letter to the Tilton Conservation Commission that the chair and I discussed to bring to the board regarding Ashlot Drive. I don't know if you've had a chance to read it, but
I asked, it's a taxpayer
request.
request
Yep.
that we got a letter and it was sent to the board and the Tilton Conservation. This deserves always to be read out loud at this Board of Selectmen. Also, the Tilton Conservation is advisory only. They don't have the means to make a decision. It will come back to the board anyway. So
Right.
it, if we want to read that aloud.
Yep.
Yeah.
Would you like me to read it?
It doesn't matter. I can read it. You
Okay.
can read it. I got it.
Okay.
Dear Tilton Conservation, I moved with Susan Dowling in January 2023 to 11 Ashelot Drive from Fairfield, Connecticut after we retired. I walked by the empty lot that runs below the high-powered electric towers and lines. I understand that the power company has a broad easement with restrictions that prohibit construction of a building on the property. I walk past the lot in the cul-de-sac frequently. I observe many young children during warmer months. A number of residents walk their dogs along the property. Presently, the lot has a center flat area covered with crushed stone. I suggest that this property be preserved as a public park rather than sold to a single entity. The crushed stone could be leveled and used by children for basketball since there is a portable hoop already on the lot. The area abutting the next lots can be allowed to grow back to provide privacy to the house on that lot. Leaving the land with only slight improvements would allow extra space for children and adults to walk. We plan on aging in place in our home for as long as we are able. I regularly mow 2 parcels that abut Civil Lake. Just east of the parcel, I pick up debris and brush on those parcels, even though I have only a 2 out of 19 ownership of each parcel. I take my grandchildren to the parcels to swim, kayak, or fish from a pontoon boat. I'm not able to attend the April 20th conservation meeting due to the school break trip scheduled with our grandchildren. I would attend a later meeting if you decide to explore my suggestion to convert the parcel to a park. Thank you for your service on the commission and for reviewing this proposal. So what I suggest is that if board is in favor, obviously it's a team effort, that we also send this along to parks. I think it's a great idea. It's not a buildable lot. We all know that. We've seen the suggestions come in from the sale of that piece of property. And it is not a buildable lot. You can, for 30 days out of the year, put a camper on it if you want, but that's our zoning doesn't regulate any more than that. You cannot put any structure on there because it's an easement for Eversource. The entire lot is an easement for Eversource.
If it becomes a park,
Mhm.
is that like written in stone? It's always going to be a park.
Well,
It can never change.
no,
No?
not necessarily. And the board can change parks. You can remove parks and
Okay.
redevelop parks. I mean, that's always a board's decision down the road. You don't have to name it a park. You can have the park oversee recreation events and things that can happen. We can leave it in our purview if you want and just oversee having it flattened a little bit and let the children play. And with the basketball hoop, doesn't matter. It's what we decide. It's ultimately our decision. We can do whatever we want. I
I
just
think
think
you're right. I think we should approach the parks about it and see what.
Mhm. I
their
think it's an
recommendation
area
is.
of town where they have little or no things for children out in that area at all. And we have Riverfront Park over here
Right.
in this area of town. I don't think where the other one, Salmon Run is the trail.
Right.
I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's a great use of our town property, I think, for any that we ultimately can't use as a buildable lot. My suggestion would be let the town administrator reach out to the chair of the parks and let them share this letter, get with the conservation and see what their input is after they've had the meeting April 20th, see what their input is,
Sure.
and get their suggestions from both the committees and just go from there. Any other comments, ideas, creativeness, nothing?
Very good. I'll
Yeah.
take care of it. Yep. Okay. Um, Behind that letter by the citizen is a letter to the New Hampshire legislature. I was requested by our Casella folks, Tony, who's our area representative. They are looking for support in reaching out to the legislature from each community that in the state, talking specifically about material management goals. And one of the goals has been that how do we deal with solid waste? In the letter that I was asked to write, I detail a couple of things that were detailed to me. So it's basically a form letter, but and it helps promote recycling. I know that some communities have moved into a big recycling program and then moved out of it. But businesses seem to be playing better in the recycling park, is what I'm told. So the solid waste program would like to continue and reach out to support from the state through legislation to allow some of these expansions and give more benefit for businesses, different businesses that participate in this. So basically, all this letter is doing is identifying a stable disposal system with predictable costs, and if we continue in the fashion that we do, most communities, and Tilton's included, do some form of recycling and have some form of revenue back to the community and the taxpayers as a form of recycling. Tim could tell you that amount. I think it was 22,000 something last year. We got from the recycling program, cardboard and
Just under 25.
just under 25. So this letter encourages the legislature to support laws that, in fact, support recycling, and the businesses, if they do it on a larger scale, get a benefit from it as well. So hopefully, our disposable waste costs at some point in time, hopefully, it would reflect a savings to us, because we pay by tonnage. Tim has a very good understanding of how that works through his years here, but I think it's just basically a letter of support to the legislature to encourage them to support this program. So, and we do hope to expand our recycling revenues. Is that right, Tim? He keeps after Kevin. So, but so the only thing I'm asking for on behalf of the town, I would send a letter as your town administrator on behalf of the town in the Board of Selectmen.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded that you send a letter on the town's behalf. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We had originally scheduled a meeting, Madam Chair, for the 30th. So there would be 3 meetings this month of the Board of Selectmen. I'm told in the past it's always been the first and third Tuesdays, even if there's 3 Thursdays in the month. I and a few others would like to go back to the first and third Thursdays. I really don't see a need for this up and coming 30th meeting. I'm your agenda organizer. I don't have a lot. I know that everybody has a lot going on, and the fact that you folks volunteer your time to be here, the less we got to ask you to sit, the better. And in an emergency situation, if we need it, I know the chair is not afraid to call a meeting. But um, we would ask you if we can go back to the first and third.
I think it just
When
makes-
does your vacation end? No, I'm just kidding.
28th, I'll be here. I'll be here. But I could extend it to the 30th if you don't meet. No.
Flight was canceled.
Yeah.
We did meet every week
Yeah. Oof.
for years.
Uh.
The, the burden that we,
Crowd speaks.
yeah, the burden that we place on the staff getting ready is phenomenal. It takes them almost a week to get prepared for
Ready,
one
3
day,
days.
one night. And we have to take that into consideration. So we went to every other week, which was a lot. And then we went to first and third. We don't really have that much. We don't have anything really coming up for the 30th at all, in my opinion, but that's neither here nor there. We can either stick with the every other, and when it comes to the 5th Thursday, we don't book it. And if there's something emergency, fine. Otherwise, or we could go to back to the first and third. It doesn't matter to me one iota. What we should be considering is the time that it takes for them to prepare for these meetings. Because we have the staff working Monday through Friday, but when the weeks that we have a meeting, they're working for us Monday through Friday, preparing for that meeting. So their regular work is not getting done.
Madam Chair,
Yep.
may I also offer a comment?
Let it be known you're talking, okay?
So I would just say also, it's a lot easier for townspeople to plan on when the select board is meeting. All the other boards and committees have set, the second and fourth, first third, or the third Monday, so it's always set for each month. So it's very easy for anybody to figure out. If someone's trying to figure out, oh, when did they last meet and what's 2 weeks from that, it's more difficult, I think. And it's not in keeping with the convention for the rest of them. And really, that was only for a few months. Was it every other? Before that, it was first and third for quite a while. Seemed to work well.
I think we got off of it only because of the cycle of some of the months. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
I'm in favor of going back to that first and third. And as you will see in Tim's upcoming report, it would behoove us to be the first and third, as you will see.
Yeah.
So
Make a motion, we go into, to change our select board meetings to first and third of each month,
Second,
First and third Thursday.
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 Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded. Who seconded, John? Oh, Jeff, okay. Jeff Fontaine. Motion's been made and seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And that concludes me, Madam Chair.
I want one more question on your report, crosswalk painting.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Yes. So I've been trying to keep you in the loop. The state is going to be paving Route 3. A significant portion from the Franklin Town line to I believe they're ending right at the area where we'll want to talk about putting the sidewalk by the park and ride. Is that right, Chief? Yeah. And I didn't make the meeting, unfortunately, when they got together with the communities to talk about it. But they will not, the state is obviously going to overlay the road. They're going to do it at night paving. But they will obviously be covering up our crosswalks. Normally, our DPW paints the crosswalks. They're all faded from winter. Paints the crosswalks and puts the signs out so that, well, usually by Memorial Day, we have it done. So if this project takes place, it's not going to take place till August. So my question to Kevin was, our DPW director was, you know, I really like to see the crosswalks painted and marked. And I understand and appreciate the fact the state's going to fix the road and that stuff. But he only buys enough paint to paint the crosswalks for one time per year. So once we paint them, the state's going to go over them, pave over them. We're going to have to paint them again. So I don't think it's a significant cost. Tim and I had talked with either Shane or Kevin about the cost of the crosswalk paint last year. I can't remember, Tim might, what it cost. But I worry about the liability if we don't have the crosswalk painted.
Yeah.
And
I don't
It-
think the cost of the paint justifies the liability of.
It was less than $1,000.
So I'm in favor of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's less-
We'll just do-
It's less than
Yeah.
$1,000.
right.
We do that all
We'll just
in-house.
do it.
Yeah.
Kevin does it.
Yes, he does.
Get
Yeah.
the sprayer and everything.
Yeah, he's got a sprayer and yep.
Yeah,
All
they
the,
do a good job.
Yeah.
It's,
Perfect.
I just
Yeah.
think it.
I'd really like it to be nice for Memorial Day.
yeah, I think so
Yeah.
too.
Last couple of years, it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. And just so the board is aware, the new board too, is we had different colors. We had blue because we kept it up by the school for their colors for the Winnisquam Bears. And then we had bright yellow down here. So I think we should be consistent, and yellow is the brightest color
Mhm.
to the naked eye.
Mhm.
And I know that because I ran for election. I made signs when I was sheriff, and I learned that from a graphics person. I always thought it was white. You might too. Yellow is the brightest color to the naked eye. So I would like to have them do them in yellow again. Some people, you could have them in bright pink, especially out here by my office. They just go around the people and that stuff. But last year we bought a couple of the crosswalk A-frames, the plastic ones that
Mhm.
tell you stop for pedestrians and that stuff. With the exception of this one area, most of them work pretty well. The state also does not want us painting a crosswalk or will not participate in approving a crosswalk painting at Tilton House because they don't
Right.
agree with it.
It's not a legal crosswalk.
Not a legal crosswalk.
Across the front of Tilton House Pizza?
No, it's
It's
not because
not
it doesn't have the distance between
Right.
the
Site
The
distance.
intersection.
the
Oh
intersection.
my God, everybody walks across that though.
It's
Yeah.
it's been there 40 years.
Yeah.
We are gonna paint it though, correct?
Yes,
Yeah,
we are.
yes, we are.
Yeah, they just. won't
Yeah.
Unless you tell us no.
No.
Yes, we
It's not
are.
it's not a
Ain't it?
state.
And if
approved
we can't
crosswalk.
fight the state, we'll ask Catherine to.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I will tell
I do have
Kevin.
a question, Madam Chair.
Okay.
The pedestrian, and I know where the chief's going, I'm going with this. So our illustrious signs, what's going on with that? And are we going to get those installed
Yes.
ever?
Well, let me say, I say yes, we're going to get them installed. Question is when. Kevin, DPW, and I love Kevin, but he has a tendency to say, yeah, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it, I'll do it. And I think I had asked him to get a quote on an accurate quote. Let me refresh
For
that
the upfit of them, right?
for the upfit.
Yeah.
I
So
was
we-
originally told 150. Our former DPW director was told a significantly higher amount
Mhm.
because they are not DOT compliant and they're going on a DOT road. They shouldn't have been, well, let me say that I wish we'd done our homework a little better on them.
These are the signs we have now.
So
Yeah,
We have.
I think,
yeah.
why don't you let Eric give them a little
Okay,
bit of history on
good
that,
idea.
those signs?
Yeah, good idea.
so
You can say it freely.
we had purchased these. There were signs that were purchased, pedestrian crosswalk signs.
Yep.
Right. And so
Solar.
yes, they were solar. Unfortunately, they were not state approved. We brought them. They were bought from a vendor who I believe said that they would be state approved, but
Correct.
they are not state approved for the state of New Hampshire. They were bought from a different company in another state. So they were approved for that state, not this one. So we couldn't put them up because the state would not allow us to put them up on state roads because they were not compliant with the most upfitted where you got the lights where they light up and stuff. Is that
Yep,
right, Chief? The ones
around
that
it.
light up. So so we've been trying to figure out how much it costs to upfit them. So we got a couple of prices on that, and then trying to figure out where to put them when we get them. If we did not get them upfitted, are there other places in the town that we could put them up in lieu of not having
Other
them
than being
upfitted?
on a state road.
Yes, if they were not upfitted, but we're trying to get
How many do we have?
Six, I think.
Five.
Eight.
Eight, yes, right. Sorry.
11.
Could we sell them to
Count
the
the,
municipality?
have
yeah,
eight.
each side, right,
Yes.
eight
Eight.
crosswalks.
So they're
$32,000.
yes,
8 signs
Is-
with
is-
32 grand.
yeah.
Is there a possibility of like exploring selling those to a municipality where it's legal in the state like where it is legal?
We had discussed that, I believe.
Oh, sorry, I don't want to.
No, we had discussed it. But
Good
I
question.
think what we have ultimately decided on is to
Retrofit them.
retrofit them, get them upfitted, and then put them where we most need them, right? Downtown, over on
School,
the,
yeah.
the school, and like Winter Street, that area,
The island.
the island. Yep. So, that's why I was asking, because I'd like to get those done this year. if we could.
What is the requirement for the upgrade here or the upfit?
It's,
So we don't have the lighting on them.
Right.
So it requires lighting.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And that would be
Well, they had lighting. It was the wrong,
it was the
it was the wrong
yes,
lighting.
I'm sorry.
Right.
Yes.
They
It
had,
the lighting, but it was
they
the
had
wrong-
flashing bulbs around it and that's not allowed.
Right.
You have to have a different kind of light.
It's gotta be blinking. It's like the one, if you go up
Or
Summer
like
Street.
an LED
North-
or something.
Yeah.
But these are big.
Yeah. So they're
These are not small.
yeah, they're
Well,
big.
32,000 and there's only 6. I'm
What do
assuming
you
they're
like?
huge.
What are they,
Oh,
3 by
Is there
3 or
any way
something? Or?
we can actually figure out what the cost? I know
Yeah.
we've got some quotes.
Yeah, and Kevin, like I said, was gonna follow up with the company that built them.
Yeah.
For a retrofit.
Okay.
Kevin is spreads himself a little thin,
'Cause
but
Can we
we
expect,
didn't
can we
forget it.
expect that for the next
The other
meeting
part-
then?
Actually, I can send him a note and see if he can get us
You
at
gotta
The
least,
sooner the better.
at
Our
least get us a
deadline is-
number.
Yeah.
So you have to think too, like the other
Yeah.
part of that is it also gives the PD a little bit more of an enforcement action.
Right.
If they're sitting, watching whatever, or coming across and the light's on, there's somebody near starting in the crosswalk and somebody blows through it, right? That's just another signifying thing that gives them probable cause to stop. So it's just a danger to not
Right.
have those things up. So
Right.
that's why I was hoping we could get those up this year.
So
Yeah.
even if we get a response from
Right,
the company that's going to retrofit them
right,
that says, we'll get back to you,
right,
at least the dance has begun.
right.
Right. So if we
Yes.
can expect something by the
Yeah.
next meeting from
Yeah.
Kevin, that would be
Yeah.
fantastic.
I will ask him to follow up.
Before I leave, I want to see those things up.
Yeah,
Well, the daytime population
yeah.
in some of this area
Oh,
swells drastically.
oh, yeah, it does.
Come July. I mean,
Yeah.
it's astronomical.
Yeah.
And that, so this is the time of year to like
Still,
Yeah,
get that
even
done.
if I do,
Yeah.
I still want to see them up before then.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
All right,
like,
awesome. Thanks, Scott.
yeah,
Appreciate
and I think they would be a significant help specifically downtown. And I know the chief would appreciate them in the area down here where it's not well lit
Right.
at night. And I would appreciate this sign because, I mean, we've done everything. The chief sent cars down to sit there and watch people, and somebody will be going eastbound. Somebody will stop for a pedestrian right out front that's in the crosswalk that's going across, and somebody will go around that person.
Mm.
They just don't. It's crazy. It really is.
With the retrofit, is that something they send us a kit that we're
Yes.
retrofitting?
Yeah,
So we have
yeah,
to ship them back.
yeah.
Okay.
And according to the guy at the state, when Tim and I met with him, it's really not a big thing. It sounds it, but the initial thought or amount that was given to Tim and I was $150 per light,
Yeah.
which is, but then we, I tried to move it along, and we tried to get a price locked in, and the price came back drastically different. And I think it was the same company that sold us the light. So we didn't learn the first time.
Maybe a different company.
Yeah.
Maybe-
Let's hope so.
How many lights per sign? We're talking one light per sign or multiple?
Oh, multiple.
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 So how many lights total are we looking at roughly? Or
I
how many
think it-
lights are on one sign? I can do the
Probably an
math.
LED thing now.
Yeah, it is.
That was very hardly. It's a
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
So I,
And it,
Currently, they have about 10 or 12 lights on
E-
them. and
each
they're-
sign.
they- Those have to be removed.
right,
They can't have those. So
right.
really what you're looking at is buying a new sign, which should not be a major expense.
Right.
There are lots of sign companies that
Yeah.
do that. And then, but then it's the lighting that the state approves for it, which I don't recall exactly. It may have been one or two,
Right.
but it wasn't significant.
But
And they
can we
do
have
allow
the state
solar.
retrofit it?
They don't do that. No,
The prison can't retrofit it for
No.
us? The electric department there?
no,
No?
no.
No, but
No.
we could order
I just
signs.
waited 3 days for them to switch a breaker on. So I would say no.
Yeah, yeah. No, but we will stay on top of it. And I will ask Kevin to try to get some kind of numbers for the next meeting. Because I think we did get, the board did agree on the locations of the signs that we have, which, by the way, are standing up in the highway garage.
Yeah, we do
as
have
we speak.
locations.
So they're not getting weathered,
We voted on the
but,
locations.
We
Yeah,
did
we
vote
voted
on
on
the
the
location.
locations.
Yeah,
We
I-
have the locations.
excuse me, I thought we did.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we
Chief,
did.
do you want to talk?
Yep.
Okay.
So I did find the email. It was from Mike, and he was talking with Shane. So, and that's from the state, Mike O'Donnell. So really what he said was, obviously they need to come up to code, and pretty much the signs are fluorescent yellow, green, and they need to be standard non-fluorescent yellow color. That's what they need to be.
Are we talking about the lights or the coating on the sign?
It says,
Talking
it's,
about the sign.
yeah, it's a coating.
The coding.
Yep. So he had put a detailed email listing of what was required. I don't have that email. I don't think I was privy to that. I think they were kind of coordinating with Shane mostly, and this was forwarded to me. So it's been a little while, I think, for everybody. So I think it's just try to bring it all back up. And I know there's a couple things. I remember going downtown with Shane and Pete Fife, and we actually walked all, because the plan was to do all the crosswalks, the 4 crosswalks downtown. So this right here in front of town hall, the next one just right here in front of the tanning,
Yep.
midway through by the church, and then Tilton Pizza. The problem is a lot of those crosswalks were not approved, but also it would take the state
for allowed to have signs, because what they are, they're signs, but they have the buttons on the signs.
Yeah.
So they actually communicate across the street to each one, So it's not just a flashing sign, it's a bunch of a lot of the things you have to worry about is our downtown is really narrow and all the cars kind of park this way. And now you have a sign that's way over here. You're looking this way and someone's crossing in front of you. So the state wants you to actually take spots away. If you guys remember they were talking
Right.
about spots. So everywhere.
Take the parking spot away?
Yes.
So wherever
exactly.
you put
That was,
wherever you put a sign, you lose 2 parking spaces.
That's correct.
One on
Yep.
one side and one on the other.
so now you add that all the
So
way
that
down
was-
through. This side might not be as bad, like Tanasa Pizza, but on that side, you're going to lose that one spot in the front.
Yep.
And coming this way, you're going to lose, geez.
4.
Oh yeah,
It was
at least, if
4,
not
yeah.
more. So
Yeah.
that was like, ooh. And then with the color and the lights and everything else, I think the plan was to do the cemetery by the high school, so Park Cemetery. Mill Street, right at the top. There's a crosswalk right there at the top of Foundation Drive. Not Mill Street, Foundation Drive. What used to be 380 West Main Street. I think the other one was going to be in front of the island. And potentially Academy Street. Am I correct? Remember this going this way, the long way, Academy, and then Chestnut Street.
Yep.
It's that long stretch just to try to, because obviously you're going to lose spots downtown and we need every spot we can get.
That was the
So,
challenge.
yeah.
Was,
Right.
and I think that was our hang up, was we didn't want to lose parking
Parking
spaces.
spaces.
Yeah.
We don't have enough as it is. So
We have some new ones now.
Yeah, because they have to be installed to the state standard
Yeah.
or DOT compliant as well, including they've got to be poured in a specific way and they have to be visible. Yeah, so
visible.
far.
and they
so-
can only be at an actual crosswalk that is
Right.
Legit,
legit, that's
which
approved
we
by the
only
state.
have one that's not,
Which we only have one that's not. Yeah. So
but
Well, we'll get the ball rolling on seeing what about, I mean, if it's just a sign and you can pop the sign off and have a new sign made, put that back on.
Yeah, I mean,
I was under the
it's-
impression it was the lights, chief, that.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, I really don't, I'd have to look, I've heard the color of the sign, but they're saying it's the lighting itself. It's unfortunate if we have to change the lighting. That really is, I mean, the signs are worth nothing, really. I mean, you can go buy signs that have pedestrian crossing, that if they don't light up,
Right.
now the buttons don't work. It has no use. You're pretty much, I mean, sorry to say,
they're just
you're
gonna
better
run over
off
'em.
just putting them in those spots where, if we're allowed to, in some of those areas. Perfect world would have maybe, like you said, did our homework a little bit. Or if we could sell the signs, which we've already kind of talked about that, because obviously the downtown needs lighting.
Yeah.
Needs
badly.
lighting,
yeah, we
Bad.
need
that's what helps,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
I mean, those are a great idea. I think they would work. It's just, again, you're taking your eyes off the center of the road.
Yep.
And you're bringing now your attention over to this flashing light that's over here.
Right.
And now it's taking your eyes off of, and I mean, everybody knows when you need to cross, you have to go past the end of that car that's parked. And you're already, a few feet into the road. So.
And trust me, if you want a phone call from a taxpayer, lose a parking space downtown. You'll get one.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I just think of Meredith. I had a good friend of ours that was hit by a car.
Yeah.
At like 5 p.m. crossing.
Yeah.
Not in downtown, but up towards where the movie theater is.
Mhm.
Sustained some
Yeah.
serious injury.
Oof.
Yeah.
She was
We've
out of
had-
commission for a year.
I think we've had at least in just this area, most of them been Tilton House in that area, but downtown, I'd say 3 in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
One was pretty serious.
Pedestrian
so.
car, it's not a good combination.
No,
No.
no.
They don't make out well.
And that's during the day. At night, you can't see anything. And then if it's raining, it's even worse.
Oh,
downtown.
God.
Yeah. I mean, it's just.
And unfortunately, they're usually wearing black.
Yeah. That's it. So,
All right.
all right. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right, moving on. Thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
Selectmen reports, do we have anything special? Anybody have to say anything on the
Hold on.
report?
Hold on one second. Manish. Yes, the action is Scott is gonna have Kevin get that actual number
Follow
so
up
we
on it.
can.
Oh, right.
Right, yeah.
So we can,
That was it.
Oh,
because we already
sorry.
have the spots identified.
Yeah.
So
We just need that number for the next one,
Right.
so we have something to say no
For
to.
the next
Yep,
meeting,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Great.
Selectmen report.
What, does anyone?
I would like to report something, if I may, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
I went down to the fence system that was damaged during the accident.
Mhm.
What was it, 2 years ago now, I guess?
Just about a year ago. I
About a year
think.
ago?
Yeah.
I've got a company that's going to give us another proposal on fixing it and fixing the rest of the issues that are up and down there. There's a sign on the fence past the abutment headed south. It says T7. It's the Winnisquam Trail
Mhm.
sign that if it was an emergency, they could tell you, you could call and say, I'm at T7. So from there north, all the way up to past to the last abutment on the northbound side. Proposal to fix that, fix the chain link, fix the wood fence,
Mm.
and put it back the way it was. There's about 40 feet south of the abutment where the actual damage was from the accident. It looks like, a pine tree rotted and collapsed and crushed part of it, and somebody cut it up and just pushed the tree off to the side, but the fence is still all whacked out. So I'm going to have them separate about 40 feet of the repairs out of that,
Mhm.
and then this will be what the accident was, and this will be what
They need to repair.
what we'd have be responsible for. So I hope to have a proposal sent to the board
Mhm.
probably by the next meeting,
Great. Sounds good.
and that's something that they were willing to jump right on and get done.
Great.
So
Sounds wonderful. Okay. I just have one question. Can we make sure that all of the flags are up in complete working order for Memorial Day?
Memorial Day. Yep.
may I ask another question?
Mhm.
Do they put the ones on the poles all the way down through town?
Yes, they
They
do.
do. I thought so. That's
Last
great.
couple of years have been
Yeah.
difficult.
Oops, excuse me. Sorry.
Did you have something?
No,
to
just
say?
dropped a pen.
Okay.
Actually, I did have a question. Are we, is there anything that we might be able to, I know that Old Home Day obviously is later in the summer, but is there anything we're doing, as a town, even with maybe even a couple double pole banners or a flag in particular to recognize America's 250th anniversary this summer?
Oh,
Is there anybody?
good question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't know.
I see some communities are doing some things.
Right.
They're having a celebration and they're ordering special flags or banners like downtown banners. I personally have the state has a memorial license plate that they allow you to have. I have it
Those
on
are
my.
pressed to my shop.
Yeah. They're very nice. I have one on one of my cars, and I like it. So
Don't forget to put your other one back on after.
yeah, I know.
Do you,
And you're not supposed to put them on until July, which is the anniversary date, but some people put them on ahead of time. I don't
wouldn't
know
that be part of the economic development?
Yes, it would be.
Can we get
in
them
that
together? Do we have a committee or no?
We do have a committee. In fact, we have a couple of new selectmen on the committee.
Yes,
uh,
that's right.
yeah.
We do.
Would that be,
Mm.
would that be something that we could create for the next couple of meetings or something that we could gather together for the end of May meeting and then for the third meeting in May, and then maybe hear from them some ideas that they
Right.
could create for us?
Yep.
If that's an option.
Does Tilton have a spot where they can put a banner across the road?
Downtown.
Yeah, downtown.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
I can get
By
that
the
quoted
church,
at
yeah.
present.
Yeah.
Yeah, right across by the church.
Okay.
River.
I don't recall ever seeing one. I don't know why. There's
Before
always
your
one
time.
going into Laconia,
Yeah.
the bike week one.
Yep. Right.
Oh
yeah.
Maybe it's
Laconia's
been a
probably
while.
worse.
Maybe it's been a while since Tilton's had one.
I mean,
Could reach out to the Historical Society.
Yeah.
Ask them last time.
all right,
I think I'm on that committee.
Thank you.
moving on. Is there any public that would like to speak? Hearing none? Is there any more business to come before us in a public meeting? Then I will make a motion, the time being 6:34, to move into non-public per RSA 91A:32A. Let me get my cheat sheet here.
Yeah.
The dismissal, promotion, or compensation of any public employee, or the disciplining of such employee, or investigation of any charges against him or her, unless the employee affected, one, has the right to a public meeting, two, request that the meeting be open, in which case the request shall be granted. Roll call vote.
Adams, yes.
Oh, second first. Wait a minute.
Second.
Oh, second.
Thank you.
yes. Adams.
Second, Adams. Okay, roll call vote.
Adams, yes.
Hanson, yes.
Fontaine, yes.
Hines, yes.
Constantino, yes.
This conference will now be recorded.
Good evening and welcome back. I'd like to make a motion to seal the minutes of April 16th, 2026, because the reasons justify the need for the non-public still remain.
Second.
Second by Jeff Hines.
Oh,
Roll call
Fontaine.
vote.
Jeff Fontaine.
Oh, Jeff Fontaine. Oh, he's my second guy. Do you notice every week he says that, right?
I think to move it along.
He's the seconder. Like Jerry is at town meeting. Yeah,
Right.
that's a compliment. Roll call vote.
Adams, yes.
Hanson, yes.
Fontaine, yes.
Hines, yes.
Constantino, yes. Okay, is there any more business to come before us in the public meeting?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
So, do it.
Just,
I was swallowing.
I had to. I had just had to do that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night.
Good night.